What's going on, everybody? Kenny here, also known as Silent85. Welcome to another vlog. I didn't um I didn't sleep a whole lot last night. Um, I got like maybe 2 hours. I have these dreams off and on to where I'm like trapped. Um, and I think it harkens back to harkens. I think it harkens back to my childhood, from the dark stage of my life, basically. Um, I was locked in a room as a kid for a little while, because I was told to clean up human feces from a uh, family relative that had mental challenges. Essentially, he was a six-year-old brain and a 38, 40-year-old body. Um, and this family member locked me in a semi-dark room. That was I don't know. I feel like there was a little light. I've gone over this with, you know, therapists and whatnot. Um, but why am I telling you this? Well, the dreams I've been having, I'm trying to do like a dream entry here. I've never done these before. I don't know how many I will do, but the dreams I've been having, I'm like trapped, So um, I think there's multiple layers here, though, because coming up, that not just that dark period of my life as a kid when I was protecting my little sister and I volunteered as tribute, literally, to go in the room and clean up, and then being locked in until I got it cleaned up. Um, Coming up through my mid teens, that same family member verbally and sometimes physically uh, forced me to think the way they think, which is follow their mode of spirituality and religion. Um, I've gone over this before. My parents were easy about it. I went to church with them every so often. Dad was a preacher, evangelist. Mom was, in some regards, a church wife. She was also a singer. But, she went to church with family a lot. I went to my grandmother's church. I remember I had good memories. My grandmother handing us gum from her pocket and going over to her place after church and me eating a full bowl of whipped cream, the Cool Whip. Um, good memories. It wasn't all dark, but on the other end of the spectrum, the darkness tends to come whenever I think about another side of the family. Unfortunately, because this person was the source of it. Not every family member, you know, dawns that shadow over me, but um, I was while I wasn't while I was trapped in the room for a while, and it impacted me mentally and emotionally. Um, for the longest time, I felt trapped by not being able to function mentally as I wanted to because I had things forced on me, punished if I didn't think that way or believe that way, you know. And I think in some ways, this individual meant well because they wanted me to grow up moral and, um, focused on what they thought was best for me. I think it stemmed from that. It also could have stemmed from just forcing things on other people, because they thought that my parents weren't doing a good enough job. So it's like they had to redouble their effort and punish me if I didn't go about it their way. I don't really want to get into specifics, but this person was a part of a church. They were head of a church, respected for the most part in the community. But what I'm getting to is that mentally I was trapped. I was trapped in this mode that was just put over me. It was like hammered down with a megaton hammer. And I didn't know how to move. I didn't know how to think or respond to all this when I was younger because, I was developing. I was trying to find out who I was. And the only escape I could find from this was sometimes school, and the other was video games, books, TV. Um, and even from time to time comic books, but primarily video games. Final Fantasy, especially. Pokemon was one. I dove into these things, and I didn't want to deal with reality for the longest time. Um, and this stuff got crazy. So these dreams, I think, are relative to that fact alone, is that I felt so trapped for so long, for at least 10 to 12 years, while this person had an impact on my life. And obviously, I got older, I was able to break free. And then, of course, I had a bit of an enlightenment period in my early 30s. I'm 38 now, where everything came back on me after this person passed away. It happened at their funeral. I guess my overall message here, and I'm thankfully I'm getting help, professional help. I'm seeing therapists. I'm seeing a psychiatrist. I've seen all these people off and on. I'm on this journey to rediscover things and find out who I am and who I want to be. It has impacted relationships. It's impacted friendships. It's caused me to, at times, have severe social. I'm not sure of the word. Social. It's impacted me socially. I get. I've been diagnosed bipolar 2, obviously, but there's ADHD in play. And I can get socially overloaded. I can get overloaded in a lot of ways. And of course, you combine that with everything I've been through coming up as a kid. You throw PTSD in the mix, and I'm a bubbling pot of like all kinds of stuff going on up here. But I'm lucky enough to be able to have done that, to have that light and shed that other guy. I learned from him, but that other guy wasn't me. That guy that was taught to believe in certain things and to have faith in certain things that made no sense to me. It made no sense. And a lot of people would argue, well, that's the sense of faith. It doesn't make any sense, but you still believe. What really broke that for me was I was told by this same person coming up, my abuser, to comic books aren't real, video games aren't real, and if you believe in that, that's the devil. He's trying to tempt you. And as I got older, it clicked. I was like, I'm hearing this from a person that believes in ancient texts, that believes in ancient teachings, that the only difference between them and the stories I'm interested in, that I learned lessons from, including notably Final Fantasy, was that these texts have been around for a lot longer than the stories I'm interested in and the books I'm interested in. And the reason they've been around longer is because kids are brought up, and it sounds harsh, but they're indoctrinated into this belief system. Because when this happens when you're younger, it grows with you. It's planting a seed, and it's growing. And when you have to go through life and you have to dig deep and uproot this stuff because it was never a part of who you were, it doesn't make sense mentally, but it was forced into you, it impacted, brainwashed even. You go through a crisis in life that leaves you what feels like a shell, and you've got to totally rebuild. I guess my message is, if you have kids, if you're raising them in a faith-based environment, please be careful. Please be aware that those children, that little boy, that little girl that is interested intellectually in certain things, don't deny them that. Do not force your beliefs on them, because you will do them, odds are, more harm than good in the long run of life. Especially if they have other darker parts in their life that they're struggling with, and they may not even be telling you about it, because they're scared, like I was. My sister and I didn't tell my parents about what was going on for fear that, for me, I don't think I would be believed, because again, this person was who they were. They had high standing in the family and in the church. My sister, on the other hand, she's proud. She's strong. She, for the longest time, she's getting help now, but for the longest time, she didn't really need help from anybody. And she grew up that way. She's very stubborn in that regard, but it ate away at her. It caused her to have a life of turmoil and chaos, and in return, caused that to other people. If you know the history on my channel, you know some vague details that she's currently looking at parole. Um, and I still love her. I still wish her the best. But she hurt me deeply with recent events that happened a few years ago. And her and I are, communicating, rebuilding a bit slowly but surely. But the bullshit that happened in our childhood impacted us in such a way. It was a stone in a pond, and those ripples grew. Um, and you just add on to that about everything that I went through mentally with having to shed that skin of what I wasn't. It puts you in crisis, and you don't know what to do. You're juggling these things, this extra weight that you don't want, you don't need, because it's not who you are. That's not how you're built. We're all built differently mentally, whether it's our upbringing, whether we're born with a certain brain build or whatnot. I'm lucky to be able to find mine, but there are people that go through and they're forced to be who they're not. And it's scary. And sometimes, it's like I was when I felt trapped and in the dark, I wanted to exit stage right and get rid of this, get rid of this mortal shell, and maybe, either find some rest from the struggle, or maybe, just maybe, find something thereafter. Now that may seem a little counterintuitive to what I've been talking about, but I do believe that we are at our core still a part of the earth. I still believe that we return to it, whether it's via the circle of life. If I'm buried or cremated, my ashes will go back. I want to be cremated, but my ashes will go back into the earth and provide some sort of purpose. Whether I become part of soil that grows into another tree or something. It's all a part of the cycle, and that I wholeheartedly believe in. Lion King taught me that. And it may sound weird because it's a Disney movie, but it's proven. I mean, it's a part of nature. So, a science class taught me that too, not just Lion King, for the record. But, I am a naturalist in that regard. But when it comes to an afterlife, a hierarchy to the spiritual realm, believing in what's not there and whatnot, I have faith in people. I have faith in the earth. I have faith in the universe. The things growing up that I was taught to do, like pray. I have a mantra every so often. I, acknowledge that I'm part of the universe and the universe is part of me. I don't personify it by saying that God is a part of me and I'm a part of God. It's a lot greater than that. It's a lot greater than one single being that is believed to be there. For me, it's a much wider and system that we are a part of, whether we want to be or not. I mean, we're here. So there's that. Again, I really just wanted to make this to, again, two things, kind of shed some insight into where I'm at. And if you happen to be watching this and you have kids or you have grandkids or nieces or nephews, please, for their sake, please do not force them to be who they do not want to be, or please give them a choice. Help them realize there is more to this world than believing in what may or may not be there. Faith is one thing, but when faith becomes fanatical and it's being forced on other people, it's no longer faith. It's brainwashing. So that's my message in this vlog. I'm that I've touched on a lot, but hopefully this sums it up a bit different, even though it is a 15-minute vlog. Anyway, stay safe, stay sane. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. And I wholeheartedly believe that as well. See ya.